raised to adapt, not to feel safe. For most of human history, parents were not regulated. Life was dominated by survival, poverty, war, scarcity, stress, and duty. Emotional regulation was never taught because it was never modeled. Strength was defined as endurance, suppression, obedience, and carrying on despite inner collapse. Feelings were something to control, ignore, or silence, not something to understand or hold. Within these conditions, parents did the best they could. But a dysregulated nervous system cannot teach regulation. It can only teach adaptation. What is passed down is not wisdom, but coping. Not safety, but survival. When children grew up in environments where safety was not consistently present, something fundamental occurred in the body. The nervous system was asked to carry demands it could not yet hold, and the system learned to adapt. Children who did not feel safe often became responsible too early. They became hyper-aware of others, scanning moods, anticipating needs, managing emotional atmospheres. They became functional, capable, reliable, and strong. On the outside, they looked mature. On the inside, they were disconnected from being. Aliveness was replaced by vigilance. Presence was replaced by readiness. This is how feeling unsafe forms, not because something was intentionally done wrong, but because safety was never modeled. Without regulation to mirror, the nervous system had no reference point for ease. So it learned control instead of trust, strategy instead of presence, performance instead of being, doing instead of allowing. These patterns were not chosen. They were absorbed. The body learned that survival depended on effort, awareness, and adaptation. Rest did not feel safe. Softness did not feel safe. Letting go did not feel safe. Being still felt dangerous because stillness offered no protection. Because the body learned vigilance as a default, children's needs for presence and safety went unmet, leaving a gap that shaped their growth. Children do not need perfect parents. They need regulated ones. They need nervous systems that can remain present under stress, emotions that can be felt without being overwhelming, and connection that does not disappear when things become uncomfortable. When this is missing, the child's system compensates by becoming what the environment requires. Over time, these compensations harden into identity. Responsibility becomes self-worth. Hyper-awareness becomes intelligence. Functionality becomes value. Strength becomes disconnection. What once ensured belonging and survival slowly replaces authenticity. Feeling unsafe, then, is not a flaw. It is the imprint of a nervous system that adapted to conditions it was never meant to carry alone. It is the residue of a world that demanded resilience without offering regulation. When this is seen clearly, blame dissolves. Parents were not malicious, they were patterned. Children were not weak, they were adaptive. Entire generations learned how to endure without ever learning how to feel safe. Awareness can change the trajectory. What was never modeled can now be learned, and what was demanded can be released. Safety can begin inside the nervous system itself. And as the nervous system learns safety, identity can shift from survival to authentic being. Feeling unsafe was never the truth of who we are. It was the cost of surviving in a world that did not yet know how to hold itself.